If everyone would stand for the invocation. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the little blessings that you've given us in this little city of Rolling Forest. We thank you, Father, for our first responders. We ask you, Father, to be with our police, our fire, and our EMS, and our military, that you would protect them, lead them, and guide them as they serve us unselfishly. Ask you, Father, to be with this council. Ask you, Father, for wisdom to ask the right questions and make the right decisions for this city that would please you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great state of Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Roll call, please.
Sir. Mayor Chris Parr is absent tonight. Councilmember Mitchell Davis.
Present.
Councilmember Chris Ellis.
Here.
Councilmember Jerry Reesner. Absent. Councilmember and Mayor Pro Tem Greg Park.
Present.
Councilmember Larry Sanders.
Present.
City Attorney Scott Francis.
Present.
Filling in for the police department is Lieutenant Jasonis.
Here.
City Engineer Greg Phipps.
Here.
City Secretary Marie Campbell.
Here.
And City Administrator Scott Castleberry.
All right. So council, just a quick reminder. Any texting, emailing, social media, and correspondences that go on during the meeting are subject to the Texas Open Meetings Act. So just keep that in mind with any correspondence that you might have going on. So I don't have any public comments.
No, sir.
All right, so item number 6, consent agenda items. You should have minutes from our previous meetings and maintenance report, court report, permit report, financial report, city administrator report, and police report. So yeah, I'll review the minutes and we will have one vote after all the consent items.
Can you go to the microphone, please?
Michael, we can't hear you.
You're not gonna be able to do that. How dare you?
Soft spoken.
See, it's not on. Can't turn it, can't hear it. Speak loud. I'll speak loud.
You're facing us now.
Okay. Making me get up.
Wasn't me.
Can't hear me now? Okay, for the month of January, the total revenue that we collected was $900,000, over $900,000. Total expenses was $369,000. And for the top of the revenue, was from property tax. We collected over $700,000.
Say that again.
$700,000. And the most of the expenses was done for the 2016 certificate of obligation, which we sent a check out for $201,000. Questions? Yes, sir.
On the certificate of obligations,
Yes, sir.
is that the final payment?
No, sir.
How much more do we owe?
We owe up until 2038.
2038?
No, we owe up until the year 2038. I don't have the actual number.
So 13 years.
Yeah, 25-year.
Okay.
Roads.
Yeah.
What was that for the roads and the ditches?
It was roads and drainage for sections 1 and 72 back in
Oh.
2016.
Question, I don't know if it's to you or to the administrator, Greg, we get this year's financial budget, we don't get last year's incorporated in that, so do we know if Entergy, CenterPoint, cable companies ever paid their responsibilities for use of the right-of-ways?
We did get those.
Okay. They were brought current?
Yes.
Okay, I know they tend to wait till the end of the financial year
Actually,
to
I
make
just
those
deposited some
payments.
just last week for the fourth of last quarter,
Good.
the fourth quarter last year.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Thank you.
City administrator reports.
Thank you.
Does this include an events committee update as well this time?
I will, I'll do the committees, in fact, I'll do it first.
All right.
The events committee hosted a lunch bingo event earlier this month here at City Hall. Talk has sponsored it with a sandwich and water for the people that participated in the bingo. It was estimated that 50+ people showed up for the event, and it was a big success for the first one that we hosted. A lot of people from inside the city, but some people from outside the city also. So it was a good event for the committee. Upcoming events for them on March 15th, the St. Patty's Day celebration at the Pavilion and Park. Event times are going to be announced soon. They're not ready to go live yet. And then on March the 30th, we will have our first hot rods at the park day, and that event will start at noon and will end at 4 o'clock. More information coming about things that will be available on that day, but mark it down on the calendar, March 30th for the hot rods at the park day. Miss anything, Miss, in the events world?
You'll post all the stuff on the site, right?
Yes, sir.
Because it
Yes,
says
ma'am.
when to line up. and all
We'll
that
post it
stuff.
on our site. We'll also put it out through the citywide email list that we have, and we'll put it, we'll have it on the, not on the Facebook page, but on the things up front. Administration side, we will continue to maintain a comprehensive emailing list of the residents. So if you know people that haven't signed up and want to be part of that email list with me, all they got to do is get a hold of me. They can email me, call me, and I'll get them added to the list. We do have about 8 people whose email gets kicked back every time. So if you know someone that's saying, I'm not getting those and I signed up, it's because their system doesn't allow it. And they've got to fix that, or they can call me and we'll try to figure something out. There's about 8 of them now that are not coming back. Energy update. We're still waiting for final confirmation with Energy, but it looks really good that it's gonna be underground and not above ground. I would say had about a 90% success rate of walking the boulevard of all the houses, talking to the residents, and only had a couple that wanted more information, and I believe that information has now been given to them. So if they have other questions, they can surely come by and see me, and I'll get with them. On the 5th of February, we had the Baxter Woodman held the first open house that went along with the city comprehensive plan. That event started at 5, ended at 7. It was a come and go open house. They had easels set up in this room where people could walk around and look at different things, put comments on the board, put dots on the board for what they wanted for different things for housing and how transportation and just different things. And just for those of you that have not filled out a survey, they are available over here on the table tonight, and they're still available on online if you want to do it, if you still want to fill it out. And I think it closes March the 1st, I think is when it's going to close. And then if you've noticed at the front of Roman Forest going across the bridge, you'll see that a new box that's up there. That is a flood warning system that's been put in. It's not live yet, but when it is live, it'll be something that you can go onto on the little website of, actually it runs through Harris County. But you'll be able to log into it, you'll be able to see what the flood levels are, what the level of that creek is, Beach Creek is right there. And then it'll also tell you how close it is to being closed. There's a lot of information. We were talking to the men as they put it in about a week or two ago. So that information is just from talking to the engineer that was out putting it up. So other than that, I don't have more on it, but I'll have the website, when it becomes live, I'll put it on our page. I'll give you the website to go to and how to access it whenever you wish. Any questions? It's really not open for the people. That's not how this works. So I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Well, you said about the energy, you were going from house to house and stuff and talking to them about the plans.
Yeah.
I live on there and I've heard nothing.
Depends on where you live. If
2102.
If I didn't come to your house and you didn't get a card in your door if you weren't
And
home,
my neighbors, they know nothing.
that means that it's not coming through your front yard. So if you're on the boulevard and you did not get notified with a card from me, or you haven't got a packet from Energy back in November,
I did.
then you should have had a card on
They
your
said they
phone.
would give you $1,500 or some ridiculously low price to go dig up my front yard.
What's your address, sir?
2102 Roman Forest Boulevard.
Come see me afterwards.
And my next door neighbor, he's been laying electric lines for 50 years commercially. And he said, there's something not right here.
And that says, yeah.
I mean, whether there's kickbacks or
Let's
whatever.
move the discussion back. Come meet with me afterwards, I'll talk, okay? Any questions? Good, okay, thank you. All right, police report?
Evening, y'all. My name is Lieutenant Casonis, filling for Chief Carlisle tonight. He apologizes for his absence. He's actually at our East Montgomery County Improvement District Award Ceremony annual event. One of our officers was selected, so he's an integral part of being there. Filling in fact. New Year's Eve, a resident of Roman Forest was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Just after midnight, an off-duty officer confronted his neighbor over celebratory gunfire. The neighbor threatened the officer with his gun. Roman Forest Police Department also caught an additional one that night in a neighboring area. Celebratory gunfire is illegal and dangerous. Sergeant Jeff Campbell was promoted to captain at this year's awards and recognition event. Life-saving awards were awarded to officers Darius Newsom, Taylor Quiroga, and Michael Rawlinson. Montgomery County Sheriff Deputy Giovanni Riley was given a Chief of Police letter of recognition for his role in one of the life-savers. Michael Rawlinson was honored as Officer of the Year. Michael Rawlinson was also nominated for the East Montgomery County Outstanding Officer of the Year award to be presented tonight, February 24th, at the East Montgomery County Police Officer Appreciation Banquet. The replacement vehicle for the patrol vehicle totaled by insurance is currently at the outfitters this week and should be sent in for decals the first week of March. It should be in service before mid-March. The police equipment insurance supplement has been turned in to the insurance. We have made significant progress on our project to install flock cameras. 7 of the 16 cameras have been placed. We're waiting on a few private property permissions still. The 7 cameras online now have already been proven helpful investigations. We had some stolen plates, things like that, already caught on them. There has been a rise in vehicle burglaries and auto theft in the area lately. Many have been in Tavola. Most of the time, the vehicle is left unlocked overnight. Because of this, we are regularly posting a reminder titled Pounce on 9 p.m. routinely in hopes that people will have them locked in the doors at 9 p.m. every night. State Highway 242 and I-69 and FM 1485 was named Sergeant Stacy Bumgarner Memorial Highway. Stacy Bumgarner was a former Rome Force police officer. Sergeant Bumgarner died in line of duty on Father's Day, June 19, 2016, working for a neighborhood agency in the city of Platte Village. So that's pretty awesome that they're doing that for him. He was a good guy. Rome Forest PD seized a dog abandoned in a house for days. Animal Control would not help us because we didn't follow their procedures to leave the dog in the abandoned house. Our judge issued this seizure warrant for us, and the police and city staff took care of the dog for a month until the court date. We named him Roscoe. Roscoe turned out to be an awesome dog. He loved us, we loved him. Roscoe was awarded to RFPD by the court. RFPD worked with a local pet rescue to place Roscoe with a friendly local law enforcement family. We are convinced that Roscoe understood every detail of what happened over the course of this process. Roscoe even gave Chief and Sarge a big hug in the courtroom as the case was wrapping up, as his new family was taking him. It was as if he was saying thank you. Roscoe even came by the station last week to visit. Y'all have any questions on any other stuff in the report y'all have?
Just the status of the replacement car.
It's at the upfitters now, getting equipment installed, and then March, we'll have it first part of March, get the decals done over here at Ryan's, and it should be in service before the end of March. So.
Is there a date in mind or a goal for the flock cameras?
60 days.
60 more days?
It's within 60, so less than 6 days for Calvin. Our hang up is at the railroad. They placed one on railroad property, so that's.
Oh, okay.
And so that's you know, if that little tactical error wasn't made on their end,
Yeah.
we have to run them. But soon enough they'll be installed. So actually pretty, as much as it entails, it's actually a great process. So.
In the highlight, I don't know if this was a typo, but there's 3 different incidents, 3 different days. So there's 3 deaths in Rome Forest?
Oh, there's been several. We had 2 in this city limits and then 5 in Tavola. That was just in the course of 90 days. If you look back at the other reports that I post online, we just had another one on Saturday that I actually responded to. So with increasing population, increasing calls, I've been doing these stats for over a decade.
Yeah.
And just seeing these numbers is like, wow.
Yeah, that was like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
One last question. The patrol car that we're retiring, have we sold that?
Actually, we got another quote to get it fixed, and this mechanic is just, I don't know how he makes money, but he really helped us out. A little less than $2,000, he got it all repaired. So it's good to go from the gas, all the little issues that we had with it. So if we were to sell it, that wouldn't be the most financially prudent thing to do. We'd only get probably $700-800 what we were quoted. So we dropped a little more money into it, and it's a whole nother sound vehicle to be used. So I think it was a great decision. And it's up and running. I drove it. I had it all these years before it had all its problems, and it's running like a new Tahoe.
Well, good then.
So.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, council, we need a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda items as they were presented.
like to make the motion to accept the consent agenda items under number 6 as they're provided for the minutes from the city council meeting dated January 27th, as well as the maintenance report, total report, current report, financial report, city administrative report, and the police report.
Motion on the floor, Councilman Davis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Sanders. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, moving on to item number 7, discuss and consider the status of the following projects. Take any action in conjunction with City Engineer Greg Phipps.
I don't have anything specific to report on those unless council has questions or comments from what we talked about last week on the drainage.
We talked about redoing the ditch down here. We're gonna see if there's gonna be any monies available. Did we find anything to start the work on that ditch?
Did not find the money to start on that ditch yet. We're waiting for the mayor to sit down with us and go through the whole budget to make sure that we are taking care of the priorities that were identified the other night.
Yeah, that was one of the priorities, was that ditch.
Correct.
Bias, okay.
Do you act as engineer for the county at all? So what I'm getting around to the question is, who do we get updates about the county's progress? So what we heard was second or third quarter, they're going to be doing their different projects. Some of them are included within the city, some of them on the perimeter of the city that'll help the outfalls. But how do we get regular progress updates or any status of those that are going to be on Roman Forest property, whether it's personal property or whether it's city property?
So to answer the first question, no, we are not. We do engineering work, we do surveying work for the precinct, but we are not on those projects specifically. As far as updates go, the best update is what you're getting from Scott, who was here the other night. The mayor gives that information, and we'll follow up on probably a monthly, just to see where they are. They still do anticipate summer, July, August, and that is pending, some sort of a storm that they might get into.
Request for the administrator is that if we could coordinate that. Most of them are relatively small impacts to streets,
Yes.
right? That just a few number of residents for each one. But when they add the culvert under Roman Forest, can we try to time that, like after schools, right during the summer when the school's out, so that it has the least impact?
I could definitely visit with them about that, yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Any other questions for the engineer? Thank you, Greg. Moving on to item 8. Discuss and approve the selection of a chairperson to establish the Roman Forest Parks Committee.
Yes, so this was brought forward by Chief Carlisle to create the Roman Forest Parks Committee, and tonight they're asking for City Council to approve Mr. Robert Parr as the administrative chairperson for that committee, and to allow the chairperson to then bring in other committee members.
So what is that reporting? What's the reporting from the chairperson? Who do they report to?
The chairperson then would report to Chief Carlisle, like I deal with the events committee. Chief Carlisle was the one that started this with them, and I think it came back long before I was hired. But it'll probably be me and him together, but he's the lead on that one. And I work with Deanna and her group on the events committee as their lead.
Okay. Any questions, council, for this item? So, Mr. Parr is in the audience tonight? So we just need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to accept Robert Parr as the chairperson for the Roman Forest Park Committee.
Motion on the floor, Councilman Sanders, to approve the selection of the chairperson to the Roman Forest Parks Committee as Robert Parr. Do I have a second? Councilman Davis? All in favor? It's unanimous. Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to item 9. Discuss and approve the proposed update of Article 2 driveways, Section 3824, culvert and grade requirements. Minimum diameter of a culvert should be raised from 18 inches to 24 inches as deemed appropriate by the city engineer. This was discussed in our workshop and suggested that we make this change. So I did some research. The only place that is listed is in the driveway ordinance. So I made the modification. It should be in your packets, I believe.
And to clarify, this is only for new construction. This doesn't require any remedial work. It's just any work going forward, whether you're replacing a driveway or it's a new home, would require to be brought up to code.
Correct. Yeah. Now you should you see the change I made there in yellow. I basically the only thing I changed in that paragraph there was 18 to 24, and then I also added that in an instance where something other than 24 inches might be appropriate, that the city engineer and the city administrator would need to approve that. So if there was a case that needed to be 18 inches for some reason, that they
I
could.
think the concern there was if somebody had to raise their driveway by 6 or 8 inches to put a larger culvert in there to keep the flow line the same.
Yeah, there are going to be instances. The other is that you might consider adding the phrase or equivalent.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Or equivalent where?
24 inches or equivalent flow.
Yeah, or equivalent area.
So like a double 18?
A double 18
Something like that.
is just a little bit more end area than a 24 inches by itself. So it's
So
you
after
could put
the-
double 18s if there was an issue with
To a minimum diameter
Yes.
of 24 inches or equivalent area.
Yeah.
Would it be there? Would it be after the 24 inches or after the or larger size? Where would you put it?
So the larger size is going to be relative to if the drainage area dictates that it's a larger pipe, but I think you would put it 24 inches or equivalent end area.
That would allow them to put a hard pipe in it for a shallower ditch to carry the same volume of water.
Exactly.
Okay, so any other questions on this? We can approve this with the modification called out, and then I can update it and send it to you. So,
I'd like to make the motion to accept the amended, we're looking for the ordinance number.
it's
Section 3821, Article 2, driveways, amended as our discussion to require 24 inches or equivalent area for culverts moving forward for new construction or replacements.
motion on the floor, Councilman Davis, to approve the modification to Article 2, Section 3824.
I have a question first.
Okay, what's your question?
Can we, since we're changing the ordinance, can we do it by voice vote like this? Or does it have to be a written, like next month's meeting?
If it's a minor modification, we've done, precedent has been that we'll, you know, something like this where we're just adding a word or two, that will approve that with a word or two. But if it was a major rewrite, then yeah, we would table it and then make the modification and bring it back next month.
So long as the modification is accurately reflected from what is in the meeting minutes of approval with stated modification, and the modification is made as stated in the meeting minutes.
Okay. Just
So
ask.
be sure to capture in the minutes if you would, please.
No problem.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor, Councilman Davis, to approve the update to the driveway ordinance, Article 2, Section 3824, change the verbiage to a 24-inch or equivalent culvert, and the appropriate approvals by city engineer and city administrator. Do we have a second? Second, Councilman Davis. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstains? Show that Chris has abstained. Moving on to item 10. Discuss and approve the proposed update, Article 3, drainage ditches and other drainage areas. The addition to the ordinance will ensure that all drainage ditches will be sized for a 5-year rain plan in accordance with county drainage requirements. So this was also a topic of discussion in our workshop. So there is no specific verbiage in any of our ordinances that address the design plan for whether it's 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 100-year. So what I did on the drainage ordinance under section 1254 general, I added a word that says drainage ditch and outfall design baseline for stormwater runoff, rainfall, or flood shall be of a 5-year event.
Okay, I would ask that Montgomery County is in the process of rewriting, or they have rewritten their drainage report, and they're in the process of going through public comment on their design, subdivision design criteria. And so there's language in there that I would ask that you let us look at all of that. If there's one or two or all of you that we need to specifically talk about to get the correct language in there, so you don't butt heads with what the county is doing in it. Because roadside ditches, you get into an issue with roadside ditches where if you don't have the right capacity and you have a road that's blocking it, that's basically a levee, and you don't have the right capacity underneath the road, as we've seen in the other locations. We have to look at the big picture, the 100-year, to make sure we can get the water past it. Now, I'm not suggesting we have 100-year roadside ditches, but there's a happy medium that has to be met in here, and that's, I don't want to, I guess I'm a little leery of taking this too quick and not having the correct language in, and then have to come back and address it again.
So, yeah, no, I agree with that, because I did struggle with how to word it.
I think the other thing we need to be cognizant about is what are we using for that 5-year design? Is it FEMA? Is it NOAA? Is it some other source? Who determines that 5-year event capacity?
Yeah, it would be
the state
Atlas
has-
14, the
yeah.
county, well, it's the whole Atlas 14 is the new criteria that came out a couple of years ago.
I think we need to postpone this, vote on this till Greg is back with us on the, what the county's doing, so we can be, we have the same verbiage as the county in our ditches.
So, on your comment about Montgomery County, I could find no official documents. 'Cause I was looking to find that, to what to put in here. And the only document I could find from Montgomery County, Texas was from 1982, so.
Their drainage criteria was written in '82
Yeah,
by
okay.
Dodson. There's language in there for the storm sewer that's a 5-year rainfall intensity. On the roadside ditch, it talks about, doesn't give a 5-year intensity. It says it shall be studied for what the criteria needs to be. That's fairly wide. The new drainage criteria manual that's written, they pulled it down from the website. So I've got to go back and get my records from it, but they've changed their language and what their criteria is. They've gone to Atlas 14 criteria, which is the rainfall frequency or intensity.
So although I agree that we need to proceed with caution to make sure we're in compliance with what the county's doing so that we're not jumping too quick, how do we also make sure that we as the city are coordinating with the developers so that when they're doing work, they're not gonna have to come back 2 weeks, a month, 3 months later and resize their ditches to avoid doing double work?
Well, we're working with Ryan already on making sure of what's going into that phase 2. So with the changes that we are gonna make or will make, we'll make sure that that goes into the permitting process to make sure when Ryan comes in with Stonefield to get the paperwork that he needs, it's in there as written.
Yeah, and if you notice that in the definitions section, where I put the definition for a 5-year event, part of what I found out is it's the common baseline for residential. So I would assume probably a lot of the minimum work would be at that level.
I don't have any idea. I just want to make sure that again, the work is done one time and we're not making them go back and redo something after we've had an agreement in principle and then we change our ordinance and all of a sudden, before it's accepted, they have to go back and redo everything. So I'd like to just be as fair as we can with that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, if you can get me
Do we have
any documents, that'd be great. Are you, any verbiage? I hesitated to call you, right? I figured we just, so, yeah, let me know.
I'll send it to Scott and you can send it out to, and I can send it to you direct and then he can send it to whomever.
All right, so council, we just need a motion to table this item until next month.
I'll make a motion to table this item for next month before Greg get back with us on the appropriate language.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor of Councilman Sanders to table the driveway, the drainage modification until next month. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Davis, all in favor? It's unanimous. All right, moving on to item 11. Discuss and review the proposed update on Article 5 fences, Section 8-112, general fence requirements. The update will allow an exception for dumpster enclosures. So, council, what we put this on, this is a request from Chief Carlisle in regards to dumpster enclosures. The gates that are on them tend to get damaged. So his suggestion was that we consider an exception to the fence ordinance to allow one side of a dumpster enclosure to include a opaque fence material that may not be, approved for a regular fencing. So we did put it on here as a discussion since Chief is not here for this meeting. Would like to give him an opportunity to discuss it with us next month. What I would suggest in the meantime is maybe taking a look at the new gas station on Boulevard. He said that the dumpster enclosure gate that they installed is not, it's in violation of our fence ordinance, but it's actually really nice. And he was thinking that's kind of what we should be looking at as a possible exception. So the ordinance modifications you'll see highlighted in yellow that I put in. I put in a definition of dumpster, a definition of opaque, which is essentially you can't see through it. And then modified the sorry, my pages are sticking together.
As long as we're tabling this, Councilman Reesner wanted to make some adjustments to this ordinance as well for materials to bring it up to date so that it's not strictly wood or chain link, because there's so many newer materials like composites. But I guess my request if we're going to make an exception for the dumpster enclosure gate itself, it needs to specify specific materials. Opaque could be a black plastic trash bag. Right? You can't see through it, but it doesn't say it has to be durable. It doesn't give anything. And the intent of the ordinance originally was to prevent, at least as I understand it, metal siding that you might see around a vehicle storage yard or a recycling area, something that it was to keep the appearances up. And I want to make sure that we're still meeting that intent. Even if we're going to make an exception for the dumpster gate, it still needs to have the appearance of the gates or the fences around it or something to that effect. So I'm not okay with just a piece of sheet metal for the gate and calling it good if it's visible to the street. If it's not visible to the street, then I would be more accepting of that.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have any suggestions on materials, please email them to me.
Okay.
And then I can add those in to the.
One of the things I've seen in a lot of these dumpster enclosures, that fence gate is left wide open, trash is all thrown all over the place. They said, what type of materials we're gonna have? Well, we need to have something in our ordinance for a fee or fine if they start leaving that gate wide open, and we've already approved a gate up there, and then keep it closed.
Okay, I can look at adding that. I think that might require a separate section to deal specifically with dumpsters, but I can look at that. So. Else, any comments, suggestions?
On something like this, can we give them a tentative type of design to use? Or should we leave that right there?
We could. I will tell you, looking at other cities, I haven't seen a specific, where they're specifying the design. They're just specifying rules, regulations, and what materials they can use.
But I think our ordinance already says that trash cans cannot be visible from the street.
Yeah, but we're bypassing that ordinance to put this
This is just for the gate,
for the
enclosed gate materials, so if you still, under code enforcement, somebody could still call in a complaint that the trash can's visible from the street. That lots and lots of residents have their trash cans visible from the street.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion on this? If not, we'll just need a motion to table it until next month.
I'll make a motion to table the dumpster center enclosure gate to next month.
Motion on the floor, Councilman Sanders, to table the fences modification until next month. Have a second? Councilman Davis, all in favor? It's unanimous. Moving on to item 12. This was a mouthful. Discuss and consider approving ordinance 545-25, ordinance by the City Council for the City of Rolling Forks, amending the city's operating budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025 as previously adopted in budget ordinance numbered 545-24 dated August 19, 2024, providing for the Texas Open Meetings Clause and providing an immediate date for the amended budget. Scott, you're up.
Yeah, this is just discuss and consider the solicitation for the formal approval for the amended budgets. In your packets, in the back, you'll see the breakdown. The first one was for the Tooele Community Foundation. The second was grants and donations. That's the $20,000 donation that we got 100% for free from a resident. And the bottom two are for that wrecked vehicle. The first one is for the vehicle itself, and the second is the amendment for the equipment. Basically, in a nutshell, this is to have it go into incoming to later have it have formal approval.
So this is just moving the money into the appropriate
yes.
cost centers.
Yes, sir.
Looks good to me. Any questions, council?
As discussed previously.
All right. Thank you, officer.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we just need a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve this budget amendment on vehicles and equipment.
Motion on the floor, Councilman Sanders, to approve the budget amendment for ordinance 545-25. I have a second. Councilman Davis. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, moving on, item 13. Discuss and approve the purchase of Apex Rollins spectrometer from Dectichem and Company.
Yeah, so we're seeking purchase approval from you guys on the spectrometer. I don't know if y'all, how far you got along with explaining what that was in the prior meetings or whatever, but essentially it's a state-of-the-art technology. When I say state-of-the-art, I mean this thing basically shoots a laser or infrared on any organic substance, and it tells you, and there's 20,000 organic substances in this library. So it enhances our capabilities, capacity to find narcotics. I mean, you literally shoot some of sugar, it's gonna come back as organic sugar. If you shoot at cocaine, it's cocaine. And it's just an enhanced officer safety as well. We don't have to mess around with fentanyl. you know, and down a little pin drop of that can kill you, with absorption and your skin. It's really, really neat. We got it for free from an amazing resident who donated that. That money, he specifically wants us to use it for that. But we got various quotes here, and the one that they have different options. The one that we have here is the cheapest, and it's not true to that price. The CEO of this company, we visited him a few years ago. That's how I found out about this product, and he's seen how interested we were. We were like, oh, we can never get one, maybe down the road. And then I ran into this resident a few months back and brought it up to him. He's like, yeah, you guys can really use that. I'm like, well, there's no way we'd ever go and buy one. So that's where that money came from, and now we can finally buy it. So we're just asking for y'all's approval. The CEO made internal accommodations to bring the price down even for us from way back when. And I told him one day we'll have one, and sure enough, we got to show up and do that. I didn't think it would happen, but.
So understanding that this was a specific donation for this specific piece of equipment, and that the cost is covered for the purchase, what are the ongoing costs?
Nothing.
So you don't have to buy new materials,
Nope.
you don't have to update the library, there's no
Yeah.
subscription?
It's all going to be there. So.
Is this, am I looking at multiple quotes, different companies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's different types of items.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and this is actually a local company as well.
20,000, 27,000, 30,000.
And you wanna buy the $20,000?
Right, it's actually more than that, but we're getting a discount on it, several $1,000s off. But that's the one that fits our purposes better. Some of these other ones are a bit more complex than what its purpose is for. And I know this company was innovative, it's proprietary information, and I believe there's several branched off companies somewhere in Europe, things like that. But I think they get royalties. I mean, these things finally can catch like wildfire. In 10 years, they'll be in every police unit around. Things get cheaper, you know, accessibility, and more materials more readily available. So
This Apex Raymond spectrometer, I was reading on the subject on it earlier. Are we gonna keep that in one of our trucks, or are we gonna keep strictly here in the office?
yeah, it's a expensive piece of equipment, so it's going to be monitored by a supervisor, and then the officer will have a procedure. The officer just contacts. We always have the supervisor break it out to that scene, but we don't want it just in a car truck just bouncing around and things like that, you know. So that's the sort of the county does with their APHIS machines. You just call supervisor, he rolls out there with you, you know, from the office, things like that. So.
Okay.
Any other questions? Officer DeSantis?
Do not.
No? All right, so we just need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to accept the purchase of the Apex Ramon spectrometer for the donated $20,000 that is donated for that purpose of non-sent.
Motion on the floor, Councilman Davis, to approve the purchase of the Apex.
Councilman Sanders for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right,
Scratch
you
that.
have a lot of light.
Motion on the floor, Councilman Sanders, to approve the purchase of an Apex Raman spectrometer for the amount of $20,000. Do I have a second? Councilman Ellis,
On the board.
all in favor? Show that's unanimous. All right. Item 14, discuss and accept the receipt from Chief Carlisle on the Roman Forest Police Racial Profiling Report for 2024. Left you with all his work, didn't he?
Yeah, this is one of that. Essentially, this is to consider accepting our racial profiling, which you guys are familiar. Well, we make some new members. So we do this once a year, federal and state mandated. And being a city organization, we have to have you guys 1st of March. So it has essentially it's every traffic stop that has been conducted. We through our camera system and our ticket writing system, notates and documents the race of the driver. And it goes even further, branches off if there was narcotics, contraband, if they were detained, arrested, citation, warning, release, things like that. And these two, all these items on these two papers outline everything to the details, to the point. In the past, we never had this more accurate capability we have now, but with the electronic ticket writers, the officer cannot close out the citation or print the citation until that data is entered, which makes it a lot. This is the first year since we went to these ticket writers to have it this readily available. We usually had a piggyback off the county system, I call a captain and bug him for like 2-3 months. He has his own stuff to do, and we were the last city to get on board, but this is the first year it's made my job a lot easier. So if you have any questions about those things, I pretty much would have hopefully the answer for you. It's not generated at all.
Nothing stands out, but are there any concern about any of the numbers?
That's right. One of the questions goes in. So, a couple of questions, if you don't mind, is one, what is the category for pre-existing knowledge? Is that like a warrant and the license plate comes up, or a stolen vehicle and the license plate comes up?
Exactly. That's exactly right.
And then I believe this is just the numbers that FBI or whichever it is that requests this. Last year I made the same request. I mean, I can certainly look it up, but do we know how these compare to Montgomery County for the last census for the percentages? So just looking at the total, it looks like it's roughly maybe 60% Hispanic, 30 or 40% white, then most of the balance Black, then Asian American, and African American Indian. So do we know if those numbers roughly equate to the county around us, or do we?
Yeah, I would say so. If you look at the common demographics, if you went now it would be a red flag if you have Asian people being 90% of our citations, but it's 60% Hispanic and 40% white. I mean, I can give you finite numbers from my research from a website or something, but just in general, approximately, that's, talking with, into the thousandth of a percent or something. I don't really even have any database to have that type of data, but just in general. Now, like, I would say, just standing here off of thought, if it was like Asian people who that's not predominantly the demographic here, they're 90% citations, it'd be obvious problem. Or Black or things like that, but just in general, that's corroborates the demographics.
Okay. So, not saying there's an issue with the numbers. I mean, it's like I said, it's just doing quick math on the percentages for the stops. It was 56% Hispanic, 28% white, 14% Black, 1% Asian, and then 1/4% or 0.5% Native American.
Yeah, that's actually something I find interesting to just maybe find out what the demographics are, just to compare those, just for my own knowledge. Just to
And it
know.
would be for East Montgomery. I don't know how specific the census breaks that up, but just be curious how that applies. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilor, so we just need a motion and a second to approve the racial profiling report.
I'd like to make the motion to approve and accept the receipt of the Roman Forest Police Racial Profiling Report for 2024.
Motion on the floor, Councilman Davis, to accept the Roman Forest Police Racial Profiling Report for 2024. Do I have a second? Councilman Ellis, all in favor? It's unanimous. Moving on to item 15, vote on matters discussed in closed executive session. We don't have anything this month, I don't believe. No, sir. All right. Item 16, city council requests for future agenda items. So I do have an agenda item request here from Councilman Reesner. says, I would like to add discussion and possible action on ordinance allowing Roman Forest residents to have chickens. So,
No roosters.
yeah, so currently, our land use ordinance does prohibit it, so we would have to write an exception for that, be specific about it, right? All right, also, I would like to add an agenda item for erosion control. Maybe something I need to talk to you about. So I've been looking at that. It gets rather involved, but trying to keep it simple, not get off into the stormwater pollution prevention plan area, but we do need to have something in place to accommodate temporary silt prevention, runoff prevention. So.
Yeah, that's going to be a much larger discussion because of you are now, you are under permit by the state under CXR.
Only if it exceeds an acre, right? So,
Yeah.
like there's small, there's medium, there's, right, as you're doing a larger development, then each one of the homes falls into the I forget the term, primary developer, right? So when Tavola was building, because it's more than 5 acres, then you're under TCEQ. Each individual home is a partial to that. But when they're infill lots, because most of them are less than an acre, then they don't fall under TCEQ.
Yeah, there's a whole litany of things in this permit that you just became part of. The MS4 permit.
Let me remind you, we can't legally discuss this since it's not on the agenda.
So there'll be.
We can't make any decisions on it. Can we not discuss
Well,
it?
it can be put forward as a requested agenda item for next time.
Okay.
We can't actually discuss it.
Okay. So we just need to be aware of the implications of it, depending on.
Yeah.
You and I probably need to get together, maybe go to lunch, talk about it one day. So we'll put it on the agenda to discuss next month. So any other agenda items that anyone would like to add?
Obviously, we want to bring back the fencing and dumpster gate ordinance amendment.
Right.
Is it possible to request a quarterly update from the county on the drainage work, or
I can talk to him.
if we could get that? I don't think we're going to get it monthly, but if we could get that quarterly as an update. And then when we have discussions with the developer for phase 2 of the estates, are those recorded in meeting minutes so that people who are not there can see what those discussions are, or how are those being captured in agreements or memorandums of understanding, or how do we know what they're being asked to do so that 6 months from now or a year from now, there's not an argument about, no, we didn't agree to do that ditch, or we did say that that was a requirement, or set asides for reserves or parks or street lighting or whatever it is.
Well, right now with Ryan, there's already discussions going on with Mr. Francis also about how those contracts are going to look, what all's going to be in them, and those started about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Just asking, how do council members or the mayor or citizens?
They haven't gotten far enough that they've gone to where we were ready to bring anything forward yet. They haven't met. Go ahead, Scott.
You're gonna have to have some updates after.
Understand.
Now you're 2 with.
Yeah.
some of this.
So however that's done, I'd like to just make sure that there's some sort of a recording of what those agreements are, just for all parties involved. I think there was some misunderstandings of what was required in the first phase from the county, or from the city, and from the developer. Just want to make sure that we're all in agreement before the work gets finally released.
Yeah, we can talk after the meetings.
One question here. The swimming pool down here is gonna be probably finalized next month. We need to talk about that, finalization on the swimming pool. And also we need to talk about fees for residents and non-residents.
gonna bring that up, actually. So that is a discussion that we have every year before we get to pool season. So you'll have to put together a proposal on what we're gonna charge for pool usage this year.
If MSET is paying about half of it, then we probably keep the rates all the same, but if not, if we're paying all of it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. So, any other agenda items to add for next month? All right, nothing from events committee?
Can I give data they asked me for last month now, or it's not on the agenda?
Now, I have to wait.
Okay. It's just the data of how many residents versus non-residents for the last 2 years.
Oh, okay. Well, you could do that, I guess.
It was
Yeah,
asked,
just discuss it afterwards, or and then we can also discuss it when we talk about the fees.
And then also a request is from the community meeting on the comprehensive plan. Is there any feedback from the company preparing that, or
not since
they just
that
took
night,
questions?
I heard back from them, so 2 weeks ago, no. And I will be talking to them this week sometime.
Do we have a date on, is the Fuel Max open now, or is it?
Yes.
It is actually open. Okay. That's all.
Was one, I don't know.
All right. So, council, we just need a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's not agenda, but to let everyone know that the events committee will be meeting here at City Hall on Thursday, March 6th at 5:30. We're looking for volunteers and people to come in, find out what we're doing, see if they're interested in any of the projects. The March 15th, St. Patty's Day, the March 30th, Hot Rods in the Park, and the next biennial community weekend for yard sales is April 4th through the 6th. And we're looking forward to working with the new Parks Committee to have Saturday, April 12th be our Park Beautification Project Day. And working with them to get this moving forward.
What day did you say the meeting is?
We're meeting here Thursday, the 6th of March at 5:30.
Thursday, March 6th at 5:30. So anybody
Yes.
listening that wants to be a part of the events
We're
committee,
getting that on the March.
please show.
Need to be.
All right, council.
Such meetings are open to are subject to the Open Meetings Act, and will need to be posted within 3 days.
Okay.
Prior to 3 days.
Okay, so you can post that.
Are all committee meetings subject to the Open Meetings Act?
No.
Not all of them, but if it is a board, an appointed board appointed by the council, then it's going to be making recommendations to the council, does need to be subject to the, it is subject to.
Okay, we'll clarify that. So. All right, so just need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn for the evening.
Motion on the floor, Councilman Ellis to adjourn for the evening. Do I have a second? Second. Councilman Sanders, seconds. All in favor? It's unanimous. This is over at 7:40.
Scott,